Okay, people, so now it's December 18th, 2018, about 8:45 in the morning. It's going to be a long day, people, because I'm going into page 4 now with this updating of HTML pages on to the website. Today, at some point, I'm going to see if I can, what do you call it? Transfer these through the FTP server, because I have 3 made. And this morning, when I tried to open up one of those pages, the Peeps Fashion one, it said it wasn't there anymore. It said the file had been something to it. So I go into my what is it called, recycling bin, and all it is full of middies. So anyway, I shut everything down and I kind of reopened everything, and it's a good thing I found that file, because God forbid if I had to make that all over again. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to show you quickly what I've done and what I've been doing. And I've only got, a few days left, right? So being that I'm on to the 4th page now, I'm going to focus on the little house, right? And what went on for the duration of that year. Good morning. We're just touching base on the HTML web pages. That's what we're doing here. Just, you got to stay focused no matter what goes on in life. People all over the world, they get depressed and they have to go to work depressed, right? So unfortunately, this is my work. I don't get paid for my work, right? But, it's important that I do this, 18 years of working on a nonprofit and just putting your all into it for all that time. You don't want to throw away that last little bit, right? Especially when when you're at the end of that mile, right? I'm at the end of the mile with the United States of America, and this is important. It's important for my kids, and it's important for the community, because once I solidify what I'm working on right now, that allows other people in the community to have opportunities. Just because it didn't work out very good for me doesn't mean that somebody else with a different set of work skills or expertise or creativity or motivation, because motivation is a big one. You have to remember, 18 years, I'm burned out, right? But some young new blood, for sure. Power to, and BC. Well, it puts BC on the map. This nonprofit definitely does put BC on the map. I've been all over the United States with this nonprofit, whether through, paperwork in the mail, mailing it off to politicians, Governor Rick Perry when he was a governor, and Obama when he was a senator, and Frederica Wilson, and Al Jackson, Jesse Jackson, or Al Sharpton, and Jesse Jackson, and just a whole bunch of other people, right? Mayor Lundgren in New Orleans, and that's all literally paperwork in an envelope going to the United States over a period of 8 years, since 2010. Well, even before 2010. Obama got the information from my nonprofit before he even decided to run for a president. So what does that tell you? So why at this point would I just want to say, to heck with it? I'm depressed. I can't do this no more. I know it's not going to get me anywhere. Well, it's not about me. It's about, the opportunity that's around it as things progress, right? Whether I'm around or not. We already have a president in mind in order to take over my position. Right? Every time I see a dude, I say, look, one day you're going to be president. So I'm just setting the stage so that when he becomes president, right, he'll have something to work with, right? And I'm not failing my kids in terms of what I've been doing for all these years, right? In terms of, my belief in what I work on, right? Regardless of whether I got monetary value or because I didn't, or whether I got a community recognition, because I didn't. And because my kids had seen that over the years, sometimes they think that I'm wasting my time. And I don't feel like I'm wasting my time. I'm just having a hard time doing it, right? Because I'm tired. That's the big one. I'm tired. I'm 57. The thing about us when we start aging, when we're 20s and 30s and even in our 40s, we think we're invincible, right? And we have lots of energy, and we can navigate through life without too many pains along the way, for the average person. And then I think once you get it like past 55 or something, that's when you really start to feel it, and because we're not familiar with it, we don't know. Like myself, I'm not familiar with, I tell myself, well, it must have something to do with age. I'm not 22 anymore, so it has to have, I mean, sure, there's other factors in there, but at the end of the day, your body is starting to age, right? So the town is needing, right? Great. How your kids help you. Well, my kids over the years, they've been pretty good, like in terms of like when we used to do park events and stuff like that. And, and or other little events out in the community in terms of roadside, DJing and trying to draw the community in. And, they were patient with me with the house. They many times they wanted to go in there and just, holler at everybody and tell them to stop taking advantage of me and taking advantage of the situation and that type of stuff. But I just told them, you don't need to get involved. The situation is going to play itself out, right? In terms of the house was only temporary. So back to that. So that's what I'm working on now in terms of web pages. So before I exit out, I can't carry on with this very long. I just want people to see where I'm at with the web pages. I've done the minutes. I'm satisfied with them. I've done the Peeps fashion, which I'm very satisfied with. And I've worked on the Lucy for Phoenix Fund for the United States page and cleaned up that because it had a script on it where it had fireworks and it kind of like had a bug, right? So it froze the page. So anyway, I took those out and just added in a couple of little things, and they're ready to go now to upload, because these are the things that I'm going to be taking pictures of for my specimens so that when I make my final registration with the United States with the trademark, because this all is related to the trademark, right? I have to hand in specimens. So these are the specimens through picture that will be forwarded to the Federal Trademark Office in the USA. And so now I'm on to page 4, which will relate directly to the little house in terms of housing people in need, people who are displaced. And I'm not stereotyping with the generic of homeless people, because it's much broader than that. I have walked down my road in the middle of daylight and I've had women, elderly women. One was like in her 70s, like 77 or something, with another woman and their little dogs in a van. And this is the honest to God truth. This happened like just in summertime this summer when I was picking apples with Andre, when we were going every day picking for apples for Andre with Andre. These women, they stopped and they asked me if I knew where there was any housing of any kind, because they had been living in their suite for years and years and years. And then because over the last 4 or 5 years, the housing market has gotten completely out of control, where houses are being flipped and, people are being pushed out and the rents are going up by $1,000 per tenant, $500 to $1,000 per tenant. So if you renting for $800, now all of a sudden they get kicked out and the place goes up for $1,800. This is what we've been dealing with out here, right? So anyway, those women got caught up in that drama, right? And they got rent-evicted so that the rents where they were living, this is an elderly women. One was in her 70s and the other one was in her 60s with their 2 little dogs, little teeny weeny dogs. And they're driving down the road as I'm coming back with apples with Andre, stopping me, asking me if I know where there's any housing for them, because they can't find anything that's affordable. And they were willing to pay between the 2 of them $1,200 to $1,500, but they wanted to have their little dogs with them, right? Because, they're elderly and they've had their dogs forever, right? And I'm like, oh, no. So when I say displaced people, this is what I'm saying. It's not directly related to homeless people. Just because I had the little house and it turned into a mutiny and I've had all the pirates move in and the stowaways and everything else doesn't mean that there isn't a broader need out there in terms of housing for everybody, whether they're, mothers with children by themselves or, a mother and a father on, a fixed income working with their children, whether it's the elderly people, right? In terms of, they're living their life and everything is fine one day. And then all of a sudden the rents start going to skyrocket and the landlords start knowing that they can make money. Like, for example, for my landlord, she every now and then she comes to my door and she says, oh, do you realize how much I can, go look online, like on Craigslist, to see what the housing is like in terms of renting. because, my rent is not comparable to what the housing market is. If you were to go on to Craigslist and just Google in, a 4-bedroom or a 5-bedroom or a 6-bedroom house in terms of just by bedrooms and what they're renting out for bedrooms. So like a 1-bedroom basement suite is $1,300 now, a 1-bedroom basement suite. And these are not even considered basement suites. These are garages that have been renovated to look like a suite. And they're charging $1,300 for this, just for a 1-bedroom. 2 bedrooms, $1,500. If you're getting up into the upper floors now, 3-bedroom, 2 bedrooms are like $2,000 just for a half a house. It's ridiculous. So anyway, I did it. I had my first house. We had house number 1. And so now I'm going on to page 4, and I'm going to take those videos that are related to that project, and I'm going to import them onto a web page. And as I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, okay, well, do I make a new web page, or do I go into the old web pages and import that project? Because it was a project, right? It was an initiative. It was program development. That's what it's called, right? Into this page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this around, and I am going to show you the page that I'm going to work on next. I don't see myself now. I have the page. And this is where I'm going to put the initiative around house number 1. This is what I'm going to work on today. I don't have Shimei's laptop beside me on, so I can't see whether this is viewing this correctly or not. I'm assuming that it is. Right? As long as the camera doesn't look into itself, it's fine. So anyway, this is the Youth Safe House trust account. Right? If you look here, do you see all that? Those are all trust accounts. This is where we're at right here. This is where I'm going to put the initiative with house number 1. Because there were a lot of young people that were in that house finding safe refuge, right? For the few moments that they had while they were there. I had over 200, 300 people go through that house, people. And the majority of them were homeless. Okay? That's how severe it is. And a lot of them were drug addicted and with no place to go, wandering the streets. And a lot of them were youth. And that's the bottom freaking line. Okay? So, obviously, I'm going to have to update a little bit in here because we're shy on a few links. I like the format. Again, I like my pages from time to time to be a little diverse. Excuse me. So I'll fill in the blanks and add in the few extra links that need to be added in. Right? The last time I did account activities on this was 2007. Right? Because eventually at some point I just got tired of asking people for members' dues and chasing them down and all this other stuff. So I just continued working on the nonprofit without bothering people, basically. So where I'm at on that in terms of the last time I did books was 2014. But like I said, at some point I just stopped asking for members' dues. And so the numbers in here, I don't know what they've changed, but maybe a little bit, but not much. Okay. This page was updated. Do you see this? March 30th of 2017. This was the last time I worked on this page. As a matter of fact, it still has the TM on it because it is registered in the United States of America. So it should have an R. But when I worked on this page, I was still in the middle of program development. That's what was going on in here. This was the building of a trust account. That's what it was. So obviously when I come in here, I put it as an R because it is registered in the United States. What I'm doing now is I'm fully registering it for life. Okay. That's why I have to submit the actual specimens. So they have it on file. And then from there, every 15 years, I just do a renewal fee. And that's it. I don't have to prove myself. I don't have to dispute anything. I don't have to do anything anymore other than focus on carrying on with business as usual in terms of housing people, whether they're old people, young people, sick people, right? Doesn't matter because the need is great. So here I am. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to import the videos for house number 1. I'll probably put something in here and we'll just say house number 1. Keep it very, very simple. So that's what I'm going to start working on today. And my butt hurts. My butt hurts because I'm skinny and I got no body fat. So I'm thinking to get myself a pillow or something. And my wrist is sore because I've been using my hand quite a bit. All right. Now, we're still on. Okay. So we're still on. Oh, sorry. My bad. Here. Does that look better? I don't really want to repeat myself, but I'm going to update this page. In the next couple, 2-3 days, you're going to see this page look completely different. This will be similar. It will just be improved. Now we're going to bring this down and we're going to go into and show you what I've done. This is the Peeps fashion, if you remember correctly. This is, we're looking at the, do you see? This is what I've done. I almost thought this disappeared this morning, but it didn't. Thank God. I think it's saved already, so we're going to save it, and then we're going to preview it. Just in Google Chrome, and you're going to see what it looks like. This is what I've been working on. So that's my sample. That's my specimen right there. Doesn't that look cool? All right. Looks pretty cool, eh? These all work. However, I didn't change much in here other than I changed that color and I changed that color just to suit that color. Right? If you notice those 3, they're the same. Okay. Show. Oh, sorry. Okay. Hold on. And then we're going to go into minutes. I'll show you what I've done. This is the minutes. You can see. Kept it simple. I just got it ready to add in later on all those PDF files and whatever else. This is where somebody could have a job if there was enough money in the foundation to pay them. Because it takes a lot of time, people. A lot of work here. This will be all what clicked in eventually for the minutes. Right? So, exclusion under a revolution. Oh, there's supposed to be an exclamation mark there, so I'll have to add that in. Okay. And then we've got, hold on, there's one more. What was it? Oh, yes. This one, I think. I'm working on it. I took out the fireworks and I just basically kept it simple because this is a pending state trust account. This was the first one for the states. I left everything alone. All I added was in the territory with the American flag. So this is applicable for the United States as well as Canada in terms of if this state was active, the proceeds collected under this state trust account, 30% would go into state initiatives in terms of federal parks, that type of thing. 10% into the district, so district parks. 20% trust management, which would be employment. And then the remaining 40% is on-site facilitation. So if there was a collection box at a particular location and they had programs on their site, they could take 40% for every dollar that's being donated and put it right back into their facility to carry on with the program development, like if say planting trees, for example, and you were working with college students and you had the extra funds to facilitate those field trips out into certain areas to plant trees, because this is what this would be about, right? Which would align more than likely, well, it would align either to a state initiative or to a district, because both of them are required to look after trees, not just the district and not just the state, but both municipalities, right? So I tried to make everything fair, as you can see. So, hold on. Where are we now? So I'm going to keep this short. So now I do not have, because that was 2007, the last time I updated that web page. I will not have it here. You see, Youth Safe House is nowhere to be found. And I cannot go. I cannot go into the view source from Google and copy and paste my own view source, because if I try and do it through Google, see these little numbers in here? They get in the way and they add in all this extra script, which is like useless. You can't do anything with. So the only way I can do that to get my own script, which I probably have on an old floppy disk somewhere, but I don't have time to look for it, is I have to go in through Internet Explorer. Right? I had to reformat my computer because I came into Internet Explorer yesterday and I don't know, something happened and I got hijacked with what do you call it? Some program that wanted me to download some PC cleanup thing through Norton Antivirus, saying that I had Norton Antivirus, which I did not. So I had to reformat my computer. So there it is now. Right? This is through Internet Explorer, and this is how I do it. I can go in here, and I can select. Oops, sorry. I can. I don't know if you can see this. I can go into View Source, and then I can select all, and then I can copy, and then I can okay, and then there it is right there, and then I can go into here, and I can open up a new page. I go in here. I don't know if you can see this. I take this out. Then I come and I paste that, what I just copied from Internet Explorer. If you notice here, it says text below generated by server, please remove. So again, this was 2017. It has something to do with something here. geoyahoo.com. This is as I was still transferring over. Something in here happened. So anyway, we're just going to, there it is. Do you see it? MIDI. They don't do MIDIs anymore. It's gone into MP4s or something. So remember I told you they're always changing things? So I'm not too worried about it. But there's an old page from 2007 that I am going to take today. This is what I'm going to work on today. And I'm going to import Little House number 1 into the mix so that we can go on to house number 2, that $300,000 fundraiser which will lead up to a $1 million fundraiser. And as that all folds about, it will be imported onto this page and then probably extend off into another page. So hold on a minute. So that's what I'm going to work on today, and I'm like exhausted and my hand hurts. Oh, where are we? All right. So 4 people watching, but I got to go because I had a busy day. But let me read Ella's comments here. This town is needing, right? Great. How your kids help you? They're hanging in there. Need for affordable housing, yes. And this is why we need to encourage the community to come together and work on it as a collective versus relying on governments to fill that gap, because it's not going to get filled by the government. Sad for sure. Rich get richer. Yeah, well, you just got to be happy with what you have, and and just thank God that you can take a hot bath or a hot shower at the end of the day when you want one. Real cost for rent, unreal cost for rent is happening here. It's happening everywhere across BC, and it's happening all across the United States of America. And it's happening in the interior provinces as well, right? In terms of like Alberta, Saskatchewan, and whatnot. It's just, we don't talk about it much in Canada because, I don't know. I think it's buffered. It's like more hidden, right? It's hidden. A lot of it hidden is hidden in through these secondary suites where, what do you call it? You have extremely, very, 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 very poor people living in basement suites and those types of things in these, newer modeled homes to prop up the mortgage of those homes, while the people themselves are not accumulating any form of asset. Right? And not only are they not accumulating any form of asset because they're paying the mortgage for somebody else, they're being forced into living conditions that are stunting people in general, stunting their creativity and stunting just human nature, when you're expected to put everything in a freaking cardboard box with a few walls around it and live like, okay, let's go on because I got to get going here. Real good, love the fashion. Yeah, I'm impressed with that page. That page was pretty good. I think it will say what it needs to say, right? I mean, that's one thing I'm not very good when I'm making web pages. Like, I can write really good with some things, right? Some things, and sometimes I can go off on a tangent or whatever when it comes to writing, and because people don't like to read, including professional people, they start to say, oh, it's all, what is it called? Convoluted, or, it's like, it's convoluted or whatever, right? Like, they try and versus seeing it for what it is and accepting it. They want to, cut it down, tear it down. Or in the past, it was like, well, go write us some more, give us some more information, go do some more brainstorming, and then bring us back the information. And then when you bring back the information, we're going to pick through what we want. We're going to import it into our business plan. And then we're going to criticize you for not doing a good job. So it discourages you, which is a form of gaslighting, right? So, but when I'm making web pages, I don't want to get too wordy with some of them because, first of all, people don't like to read. Right? And you have to remember, I taught myself the English language basically in terms of how to write to some degree, right? With a dictionary, right? It was a dictionary that got me to where I am today. It wasn't, I'm not saying teachers don't have value, they do. But at the end of the day, it was the dictionary that brought me to the point where I can read the criminal code today, and I can write about the criminal code today. I can read legislation and acts and statutes and all this crap, and I can, put them together, and I can write about those things to the point where, some judge in some courtroom will tell me to go take it to the cops because he doesn't want to deal with it in his freaking courthouse because he knows it's fucking something up, right? I can do those things, right? I don't like doing them. I don't feel like I should have to do them. But unfortunately, that's where my life is at, right? from time to time, like in the case of Uncle John, and it looks like we're going in that direction with Chimay. And but when it comes to web pages, if you go into my time capsule page, you'll see articles of things that I have written in the very beginning stages of program development and that type of stuff. But when you go into like the youth safe house page, you don't see a lot of writing. You see more pictures. You see the impression of what I'm trying to portray. You see the vision behind of what I'm trying to portray. You see the reality of what I try to portray, but you don't see it in written form in terms of a paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. So from that perspective, I feel like I'm not doing a very good job because people they're not grabbing onto that vision. But then it's not that they're not grabbing onto the vision, it's the fact that they don't want the vision. Because when you're dealing with a Mod Podge community of different ethnic groups, and every ethnic group is on its own mission to accumulate wealth for themselves before they are for the collective in terms of a province, because people don't think it's their responsibility to give back to the province. They feel the responsibility is for the government, the province, to give to the people. And that's where the nonprofit has been caught in the middle of that perception. And so it wouldn't matter how much, if I wrote too much on those web pages in terms of trying to put that vision out or convince people of what I'm trying to tell them, they would just criticize me, say I write too much, I don't know what I'm talking about, I need to go back to school, or whatever it is. So, anyway, none of that matters. What matters is I don't drop the ball after 18 years. That's what matters. And I have the perfect page to put the house number 1 on it to build on the housing initiative, whether it's housing young people through safe houses, or whether it's building in universal social programs in partnership with whoever to bring in affordable housing, namely for the people that were born in this country. I'm not excluding immigrants coming into the country, but in light of the imbalance of immigrants coming to the country and the Canadian born being pushed out of their country with no place to go in barren freaking ice caps. It's not like it's nice weather out here 6 months out of the year. You go further up east into Alberta, right? You got six months of winter, just winter. And we're talking 40 below weather. Where are those homeless people supposed to go as the politicians in that province sell out the Canadian born people to the immigrant, thinking it's going to be the immigrant that is going to stimulate the economy so that those pension plans get paid for down the line? I don't want to get into that today. I have to focus on my updating this 4th webpage, right? I'm just reading. Yeah, well, we haven't made it there, Ella, in terms of people helping people yet, right? This fundraiser that I'm going to write over the winter for the $300,000, that may be the one that pries open the door, seriously. And what will happen with that one when it goes through is it's going to, I don't want to say it like this, but I kind of have to say it like this. It's going to hold, I want to say other ethnic groups in terms of the Chinese, the Philippines, the freaking Russians, right? The just right wherever people come from, because wherever they come from, they end up migrating together, and then they segregate themselves into their own communities, basically, right? It's just human nature. But then they begin to lose a sense of social responsibility to the province, to their country, to the country that they came from, because they're too busy trying to take control in terms of their piece of land. And the more to come, the more piece of land that they take control of, without thinking about the people that they're displacing into no man's land, hoping that they'll just die, because then the problem is gone, right? That's the vacuum. That's the bridge that needs to be filled. So maybe when this $300,000 fundraiser goes through, it's going to, like I said, pry open the door where it's staring people in the face, regardless of what their ethnic heritage is, as in, well, are you going to help too? Because if we're doing it, why aren't you doing it? Why are you standing there depending on the government to do it for you, when we can already show you a way of doing it for ourselves, quite possibly in partnership with the government? Now, I can't take it to that level because I don't have those business skills. I don't have those network skills. I don't have that kind of expertise, but other people do. And that's why I've never let go of nonprofit, because I was smart enough to realize that I'm just the interlude to bigger and better things. Speaking of dreams, I'm going to end it on this one. Since my dreams do like to talk to me, right? And sometimes it takes a long time for them to happen. And they show you a way. They guide you. They guide you away from danger. They prepare you for danger so that you can catch the danger before it happens and end it, right? Or they prepare you to be strong, to follow through on life and whatever it is you need to do. In other words, I've had dreams where it's pretty much was apparent that I was going to be a single parent, and I had no time to stand around and feel sorry for myself. I just needed to do the best that I could, and I did. But prior to registering the nonprofit, I'm going to end it on this because I really need to save my energy for this in terms of the webpage. I'm going to get myself another coffee, and then I tell Tisha, just let me do what I got to do. So anyway, I had a dream. This was before I had gotten a trademark. This was around the time that I had decided, this was in like 1999, 2000, right? I had decided that I was tired of the Rambo rhetoric on the internet in terms of everybody complaining about fucking social issues, but nobody really did anything about it. And I felt like I wanted to do something, or at least try, right? And I felt that Canada could be a part of the solution for some of the things that go on in the United States, because back in 1999 and 2000, at least in the province of British Columbia, Canada, we had a very strong union province, which was a pillar in terms of other people below that sector being able to come and participate in the building of a province so that it could overflow and benefit everybody in that province. And because we were already at that point, I felt that by founding the nonprofit in the way that I founded it, it could spill over into the United States, and our strength could help them to turn the tide of the mass homelessness that they have, because we didn't have homelessness like we have today, like we had in 1999, right? But they in the United States did, or just a lot of the issues that they had back in those days. And I don't know. So I had this dream, right? And I woke up in the morning and I said, gee, John, I had probably just started maybe working on the nonprofit constitution and the bylaws, because I went to a lawyer and I asked the lawyer, I offered him $1,000. I said, look, I'll give you $1,000 if you can write me the bylaws to a constitution. This is what I kind of want. You do it for me. He said, no, I'm not going to rip you off. I'm not going to take you $1,000. You just go home and do it for yourself. So I went and I phoned up some organizations, World Vision, somebody else, and I asked them to send me their bylaws, and I studied them. And then that's how I created my bylaws, was through those 3 different organizations after studying them with my dictionary. And the Constitution, obviously, I wrote for myself, right? And as I was going through this transition period after the lawyer, basically kicked me in my teeth because I went to the bottom of those marble stairs and was just bawling like a baby because he wouldn't help me, right? And I had this money, right? So I go home and I'm like, gee, John, you won't take the money. And okay, well, I'm not going to quit now. I'm determined to do this because, I'm a proud Canadian and this is really what happened. And, and I really think that, I and us Canadians and this province can really help a lot of people, whether in our province or whether in the United States of America. So, I'm going to do it for myself. And then one morning I woke up and I said, gee, John, I said, I had this dream in around that time. And he goes, what's the dream? I said, well, I dreamt that I generated $1 million, but it wasn't my money. But it was great laughter around it. Great laughter. The $1 million can make a lot of things happen, people. Serious, right? It gets people motivated, and it brings results, right? It wasn't my money that I generated it, but I helped to generate it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm working towards helping to generate $1 million. And then when that million comes in, that door will be open. And the people that are depending on the government to solve all the social programs, even though the people themselves are part of the problem in many aspects of the word, right? They're going to be in a corner to do some soul searching as into what type of characters those people are from all these different countries that come to Canada and try and build a life at the expense of exploiting the Canadians, right? Because it pains me to see elderly women with their 2 little dogs driving down the road, begging for housing, any kind of housing that they can find to afford and to have their little dogs that they've had forever. And they can't find nothing in a neighborhood where houses are being flipped 4 times a year just to increase the property value. Well, politicians around us say it's business as usual. And then expect these people who are sick, homeless, mentally ill, drug addicted, with nowhere to go, wandering up and down the freaking streets, right, to solve their problems in terms of go get better, go get a job, go find a place, or die. Because they're just being left outside to die. So the little house was to turn that tide around, right? And it really does qualify to go under the youth safe house because I had a lot of young, vulnerable people go through that house, people. But I wasn't in a position to help them other than provide them with that house for a short period of time. Does that mean that the game is over? Obviously not, because there's that dream, right? I helped to generate $1 million. So once that $1 million comes, the next house that we get under that portfolio of money will be much more successful. Trust me, it will be. And that's why we're going to have a new president one day, because that president will be able to take that and bring it to a whole new level, right? So now I got to get on with page number 4. And that's what I'm going to do. So peace out and thank you for watching. And for the ones that do support me, morally, I do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.